Welcome back to Storiez 13 channel. For tonight, we've prepared a truly creepy story that will keep you awake, so get comfortable, turn down the lights, and listen closely. Tell us in the comments where you're listening from tonight. We'd love to know. It was 3 a.m. when I woke up again for the third time that night. I tossed my covers off and got out of bed. I didn't want to wake Daniel, so I tiptoed past him and over to my desk. I turned on the light and stared at the object sitting in the middle of it. It was a small, smooth stone, about an inch long. It looked like river rock, but there were no rivers or rocks anywhere near our house. I knew exactly where this was from. I'd seen it in a dream, and so had I, but I'd never seen the man in my life. In my dreams, he was always the same. Tall, lanky, dressed in all black, but his face was hidden in the shadows. I dreamt about him again last night. I remember I was sitting at my desk trying to write something, but everything I wrote was gibberish. Then the man appeared in front of me, holding out a small rock. He didn't say anything. He just stared at me with those soulless eyes of his and handed it to me. But I didn't take it then, and I didn't take it when he offered it to me again. So he dropped it on my desk and walked away. And that's when I woke up. Only now, there was actually a rock on my desk. I picked it up and stared at it, turning it over in my hands. I had no idea how long it had been there, but one thing was certain. It had not been there the night before. This had been happening for weeks. Every other night, I would wake up and find something left on my desk, something I'd received from the man in my dreams. It was always different, always strange, and sometimes even disturbing. But this was the first time it had happened during the day. It wasn't like I could show Daniel. I mean, where would I even start? I can't tell him, "Hey, honey, come look at this thing I found on my desk. Do you know what it means?" He'd think I'd gone crazy, and maybe I had. Since this started, I hadn't slept well during the day, which was bad, since that's when I worked from home. But I couldn't help it. These dreams were too real, and since they began, my entire life had changed. It started subtly with things disappearing around the house. At first it was just small things like my phone charger or my keys, but then it got worse. My clothes disappeared from the closet, the TV ripped from the wall, and even Daniel's truck keys. I found those in the backyard. One night, he almost called the police until I convinced him it was just me losing my mind. But that's when the dreams started. I'd meet the man in the strangest places, on dark city streets, in abandoned houses, at the bottom of caves. He never spoke, but he always seemed to be handing me something. I knew I should have woken up in these dreams. I tried to, but I couldn't. I was paralyzed with fear. He always stood there, patiently waiting, never showing any emotion. No matter what I did, I couldn't get away from him. I'd scream at the top of my lungs, but no sound came out. Then I'd wake up in a cold sweat, and then I'd notice something new on my desk. That's when I realized it wasn't a dream. He was leaving me gifts while I was asleep. But who is he? Why is he doing this? And why does he keep giving me these things? That's what I wanted to find out. So I stayed awake. One night, I laid in bed next to Daniel, pretending to sleep. I kept my eyes open, staring at the ceiling. I didn't dare move or make a sound. I was terrified. Hours went by, and I started getting worried. Maybe he wouldn't come. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe this was all in my head. Then I felt the bed dip next to me. I froze, hoping Daniel stirred. He didn't, thank God. I peeked over the edge of the bed and saw the man standing there looking at me. He reached out and placed something on the bedside table. I held my breath, afraid to make a sound. Then he turned and walked away. Only once I heard the front door slam shut did I allow myself to move. I got out of bed, careful not to wake Daniel, and crept over to the table. There was a small wooden box on it. It was beautifully crafted, almost ornately carved with strange symbols and patterns. I didn't want to open it, but I couldn't help myself. Inside was a spiral notebook and a quill. The paper was thick and high quality, but the quill looked ancient. I flipped through the notebook, but it was blank. I dipped the quill in an ink bottle on my desk and wrote, "What do you want?" Then I blew on the ink to dry it and watched in amazement as it started to smudge and blur together. I wrote again, slower this time, "Who are you?" I waited, but nothing happened. I sighed and closed the book. Maybe this was pointless. Maybe he wasn't going to answer me. Just then, I felt a tap on my shoulder. I spun around to see Daniel standing there with a confused expression on his face. "You okay? You were talking to yourself." I forced a smile and nodded. "Yeah, sorry, must have been dreaming." He frowned, but didn't question me further. As soon as he left the room, I went back to the desk. This had gone too far. I needed answers. I pulled the quill from the ink and scribbled, "Why are you doing this?" The moment I finished writing, a voice echoed through the room. It wasn't loud, but it was clear. "Because you're almost there." I jumped, startled by the sudden sound. Where did that come from? Then I noticed something. The handwriting in the book matched mine. It looked exactly like my writing, but it was older and shakier. How was that possible? Then I remembered the dream. The man had given me a folded note and said the same thing. "You're almost there," he'd said. I uncrumpled the note and reread it, my heart sinking as I did. Could this be some kind of warning? Was whatever he was doing almost complete? If so, what did that mean? And how much longer did I have? Days went by, but I couldn't stop thinking about the note. Then one night I woke up to find another gift on my desk. It was a key, old and rusty, like it had been buried in the ground for years. There was also a small piece of paper attached to it. I quickly scanned it, my breath catching in my throat. "Almost there," it read. The message was the same, but the handwriting was different. It wasn't mine. This went on for weeks. Every night, I'd wake up to a new gift, each one more disturbing than the last. A jar filled with teeth, a pair of scissors with a bloody handle, a doll made out of human skin. Sometimes the gifts were accompanied by notes, sometimes they weren't. But each time I read "Almost There," I felt a sense of dread wash over me. How much longer did I have? What was he waiting for? And why was he doing this? I couldn't take it anymore. I had to know the truth. So one night, I set up a camera above my desk, hoping to finally catch him on tape. I didn't expect what I saw next. For hours, nothing happened. I thought I'd wasted my time. Then I saw a shadow appear behind me. I spun around in bed, but there was no one there. On the screen, though, I saw a tall, thin man with a black hoodie pulled tight around his face. He reached out and placed something on my desk, then turned and walked away. I watched as he disappeared into the darkness, my heart pounding in my chest. Then I remembered the stone. It was the same rock from my dream. I scrambled out of bed and ran to the desk. There was a small hole in it, like a divot made by something sharp. I looked closer and saw a faint imprint, something like a symbol. I reached out and touched it, feeling a chill go down my spine. In that instant, I knew. The man isn't just visiting me in my dreams. He's crossing over into my world. And whatever he's doing, he's almost done. And that's the end of tonight's chilling tale. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who loves horror stories. Until next time, sleep well if you can.